Philadelphia fans, it's time to wake up. The Eagles are flying into Week 5 with one of the strangest storylines in football, a team that's 4-0, but still hasn't shown us their best football. And now, they're about to face a Denver Broncos squad that might be handing them the perfect gift at the perfect time. The Philadelphia Eagles have started strong in the win column, but let's be honest, the numbers have not been pretty. This team has been grinding out victories, not dominating, and that leaves a big question: what happens when they finally put all the pieces together? Week 5 could be the turning point. The Eagles have a built-in advantage against the Denver Broncos. Denver is coming off Monday Night Football, which means less rest, a cross-country trip, and an early kickoff in Philly. That's a recipe for tired legs and slow starts. Philadelphia, meanwhile, is rested, at home, and locked in as a 3.5-point favorite. And this isn't just about Vegas lines, it's about matchups. Everywhere you look, this game feels like a heavyweight battle. A.J. Brown lining up against Patrick Surtain, one of the best cornerback wide receiver duels in the NFL. The Broncos' defensive front trying to push around one of the strongest offensive lines in football. Denver's rushing attack slamming headfirst into an Eagles defense that's been stuffing the run all season. The Broncos? Up and down. They've fought in close games but haven't beaten anyone elite. A win against a Joe Burrow-less Bengals squad doesn't exactly prove dominance. The Eagles, on the other hand, have knocked off playoff contenders, Dallas, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. The wins are there. The dominance? Not yet. That's what makes this week so interesting. Under Nick Sirianni, the Eagles have built their reputation on in-season adjustments, fixing weaknesses, and peaking late in the year. So far in 2024, they've shown flashes, big scoring runs, strong defensive stands, but they haven't played a full 60 minutes of Eagles football. This matchup could finally be the spark. A tired Denver team coming to Philly. A chance for the Eagles to prove to the league they're not just winning, they're ready to dominate. Eagles fans, I want to know, do you believe this is the week the Birds finally put it all together? Drop your score predictions and confidence level in the comments. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that Philly handles business against Denver? The Eagles might not look like an offensive juggernaut yet, but there's no denying it, this is a battle-tested, playoff-ready football team. Just look at last week, a sloppy, rain-soaked night against Tampa Bay where Philly still managed to build a 31-13 lead before closing it out 31-25. In this league, winning ugly is still winning, and the Eagles have made an art out of it. Now the focus shifts back to Denver. And make no mistake, this Broncos defense is real. Vance Joseph has them playing like a top 5 unit across the board. They're giving up just 16.8 points per game, second best in the NFL. In the red zone, they're downright suffocating, number 1 in the league. This isn't a defense you just roll out of bed and score 30 on. Offensively, Denver's identity is clear: run the football and protect Bo Nix. With J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey pounding the rock, they're averaging 143 yards per game on the ground, top 5 in the league. The offensive line? One of the best in football. The weak spot? Nix himself. The sophomore slump is real. He's thrown 4 interceptions already, and against top-tier defenses, he hasn't looked comfortable. If you can stop the run and force him into third-and-long situations, Denver's offense looks a lot less dangerous. Which brings us back to Philadelphia. The Eagles' defense hasn't been flawless. They've given up too many explosive touchdowns, but when the game's on the line, they've shown resilience. The real question is the offense. 4 games in, and it still feels like this unit doesn't know its identity. The stats paint a weird picture: 7th in points per game, but 30th in yards per play. It doesn't add up. The saving grace? 0 turnovers. 4 weeks, no giveaways. That's how you survive until things click. But something has to give on Sunday. The Broncos are the number 1 red zone defense. The Eagles? 11 trips inside the 20, 11 touchdowns. Perfect. A strength-on-strength clash that could define the game. So how does Philly crack this defense? Attack the linebackers. Denver's secondary is elite. Their pass rush is tough. But the middle of the field? That's where they can be exposed. Dallas Goedert across the seams, Saquon Barkley catching passes out of the backfield, shallow crossers designed to stress that linebacker group. And then there's A.J. Brown, you can feel the frustration building. Sooner or later, he's going to erupt. If Sirianni and Kellen Moore can scheme him open, it could finally unleash this offense. And let's not forget, Denver is walking straight into a scheduling trap. They played Monday Night Football. They're flying cross-country. And now they've got an early kickoff in Philly. The Eagles not only have the talent edge, they've got the rest and the body clock advantage. That's the gift Denver just handed them. This matchup is simple: stop the Broncos' run, force Bo Nix to win with his arm, and finally find rhythm on offense. If Philly checks those boxes, this could be the week we finally see the Eagles look like the NFC powerhouse they're supposed to be. The Denver Broncos come into this matchup with problems of their own. They've beaten two bad teams, but every time they've faced playoff-level competition, they've been exposed. And now they walk straight into the fire, Lincoln Financial Field in South Philly. If you've ever been to the Link, you know what I mean. Nearly 70,000 fans packed in, drunk on passion, screaming until their throats go raw. It's more than noise, it's chaos, and it rattles even the toughest quarterbacks. That energy has turned Philly into a fortress. The Eagles haven't lost a home game in over a year. 13 straight wins at the Link. 379 days of dominance. Meanwhile, the Broncos? They've dropped 7 of their last 8 on the road. Advantage, Philadelphia. And here's the thing, Vegas knows it. That's why the Eagles are heavy favorites. But let's not sugarcoat this, despite being 4-0, the Eagles don't feel like a perfect team. In fact, the stats are straight up alarming. Take away that Week 1 win against the Cowboys, and Philly has been outgained every single week since. Outgained by 78 yards against the Chiefs. Outgained by 68 against the Rams. Outgained by a brutal 176 against the Buccaneers. The numbers don't lie. Since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970, 148 teams have started 4-0. Only one of those teams, the 2012 Cardinals, had a worse yardage differential than this Eagles team. And those Cardinals collapsed, winning just one more game the rest of the season. Think about that. One of the worst 4-0 statistical starts in over 50 years. That's where Philadelphia is right now. Yes, 13 of those flawed 4-0 teams still made the playoffs, but in the postseason? They went just 8-10. That's why these next few weeks are so critical for Philly. If they want to prove they're not a paper tiger, the offense needs to wake up, and fast. Right now, they're dead last among all 4-0 teams since 1970 in yards per play, yards gained, and passing efficiency. They're also near the bottom in sack rate, point differential, and defensive pass coverage. By the numbers, this isn't dominance. It's survival. But here's the reason for hope: this roster is stacked. They've got talent at every level, championship-level coaching, and the experience of a team that's been deep into January before. And sometimes the great teams don't win pretty, they just find ways to win. That's the Eagles right now. A flawed giant. An imperfect powerhouse. And the only question left is this: will they fix these issues before it's too late? Let's be real, when you stack the Eagles' first 4 games against history, the numbers look ugly. But here's the part that no one should ignore: this team hasn't exactly had a cupcake schedule. Out of those 148 teams that started 4-0 in NFL history, you'd be hard-pressed to find many that faced the kind of gauntlet Philly just went through. They've already been tested by playoff-caliber rosters, hostile environments, and relentless defenses. And the scary part? The road ahead doesn't get much smoother. The Eagles' schedule this season is a mountain climb. It's one of the toughest in the league, and by the time we get into the back half of the year, it's going to feel like a playoff series every single week. But here's the silver lining: the next month gives Philadelphia just a little breathing room. A stretch where the opposing quarterbacks aren't elite, where the Birds can sharpen their identity before the heavyweights return later in the season. That's why starting 4-0 was so critical. That's why winning ugly still matters. Because those early victories buy you time, they buy you wiggle room. Even when the offense looks out of sync, even when the defense gives up chunk plays, stacking wins in September and October means this team can afford to stumble once or twice down the stretch and still be right in the thick of the NFC race. Look, I still have full confidence in this squad. Do the stats raise eyebrows? Of course. Are some of the trends concerning? Absolutely. But this is a team that knows how to fight, knows how to adapt, and knows how to win even when it doesn't play its best. And sometimes, that's the mark of a real contender. What do you think, Eagles fans? Is this 4-0 start proof that Philly can survive anything, or are the cracks too big to ignore? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know how confident you are in this team moving forward.